Aortic arches, blood vessels that supply pharyngeal arches. They serve as a communication between ventral and dorsal aorta. They are formed mainly from neural crest cells. The ventral aorta is the main artery into which the truncus arteriosus leads. It bifurcates into left and right vessels which extend forward as the paired external carotids, while the paired dorsal aortae extend forward as the internal carotids. They are paired, serving the left and right pharyngeal regions, which are basically similar in number and position in different vertebrate during the embryonic stages. Aortic arches are six pairs of embryological vascular structures developed from the aortic sac that form the greatest arteries of head, neck, and thorax. Neural crest cells are highly migratory, multipotent population of stem cells in vertebrate that arise from dorsal neural tube during embryogenesis, also known as fourth germ layer. They differentiated into diverse tissue, including cartilages, bones, peripheral neurons, glial, and pigment cells. External carotid artery. It is a major artery in neck that branches from common carotid artery to supply blood to the face, scalp, and neck. Internal carotid artery. It is a major paired vessel arising from the common carotid artery, crucial for supplying blood to the anterior brain, eye, and forehead. Continuous vessel, typical number 6 pairs, 7 in primitive shark, many and in many cyclostomes, developed in a similar fashion anterior to posterior. First is mandibular arc, proceed up to either side of the pharynx. Second is hyoid arc. Then we have third, fourth, fifth, sixth branchial aortic arches. Then evolution of arches, aortic arches and fishes. Aortic arches break up into afferent deoxygenated blood from ventral aorta to gills, and efferent oxygenated blood from dorsal aorta to body branches because of presence of internal gills. In elasmobranch, primitive heptanchus has only 7 pairs of aortic arches, whereas cetaceans have only 6 pairs of aortic arches. In most sharks, Colodon have 5 pairs of functional aortic arches. The first pair is reduced or disappeared or replaced by the non-functional gills. Branchiostoma has 60 pairs. In cyclostomes, Patromyzon have 7 pairs, Myxine have 6 pairs, Apta have 15 pairs. Teleos, first and second are disappeared, third, fourth, fifth, sixth remain functional. 4 pair of afferent branchial arteries arose from the ventral aorta. They supply deoxygenated blood to gills for aeration. Ventral aorta bifurcates anteriorly to form the first pair of afferent branchial artery. Then we have lungfishes. There are 4 or 5 aortic arches that develop from the ventral aorta, which supplies blood to the gills. In Protopotaris, the aortic arches retain second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth. The arches, like fish, have afferent and efferent division, have 2 pulmonary arteries developed from the efferent division of the sixth arc. Third, fourth, fifth, and sixth are functional. Set of pulmonary arteries arise from the efferent sixth arc near dorsal aorta. Then in dipnoi, third and fourth aortic arc do not become interrupted by gill capillaries because gill lamellae are absent in this region, although fourth arc bears an external gill. A pulmonary arc sprout from the left and right sixth aortic arch and supply the swim bladder. Due to the mode of living and respiration from aquatic to terrestrial environment, the first aortic arch disappeared, and thus second and third, fourth, fifth, and sixth aortic arches, which are functional. A set of pulmonary artery arise from the sixth aortic arches near the dorsal aorta. In elasmobranch and dipnoi, each aortic arch has one afferent artery and 2 efferent in each gill. In teleost, each arc has one afferent and one efferent in each gill. In tetrapods, the arches do not break up into afferent and efferent branches. Then we have uh, Ductus caroticus. It is a persistent vascular connection between third and fourth aortic arches. Ductus arteriosus, ductus botuli. It is the fundamental adult blood vessel connecting the sixth aortic arches to the dorsal aorta or pulmonary artery. Aortic arches in amphibian. Due to presence of lungs as the main respiratory organ, the importance of gills are diminished. First, we have urodales. Four pair of aortic arches, 3 to 6 are functional in general. The fifth pair is absent in sirene, amphipneuma, and necturus. The third pair form the carotid artery, and the fourth pair form the systemic arches. The lateral aorta between third and fourth arches may persist as a vascular connection called ductus caroticus. The sixth pair form the pulmonary arteries, which supply blood to skin and lungs. The sixth pair retain connection with the lateral aorta called ductus arteriosus, duct of Botelli. Then we have in anurans. In the larva of anuran, frog, tadpole, arrangement of aortic arches are like an adult urodale due to presence of gills. At metamorphosis, with the loss of gills, first, second, and fifth aortic arch disappear altogether. Thus, three pair of aortic arches, third, fourth, and sixth, functional in general. Carotid arch takes oxygenated blood to head region. Systemic arches are on each side continues to dorsal aorta to distribute blood elsewhere, head and lung. Pulmonary arch supplies venous blood exclusively to lungs for purification. The ductus caroticus and ductus arteriosus are usually absent. The ductus arteriosus disappear during metamorphosis. Adult anurans have only three functional, that is third, fourth, and sixth aortic arches. These are also retained by amniotes. Then we have reptile, fully terrestrial vertebrate, gills disappear altogether, replaced by lungs. Only three functional arches, 3, 4, 6 are present. Ventral aorta split into three trunks, two arising from right side, the right side on the ventricle, and one from left ventricle. Third aortic arch, along with the lateral dorsal aorta of that side, become internal carotid artery. With the partial separation of ventricle into two parts, the distal portion of the conus arteriosus and the entire ventral aorta are split into three vessels, two aortic or systemic and one pulmonary. Fourth aortic arch on the right side establish connection with the right systemic arch arising from left ventricle, only oxygenated blood. Then in fourth aortic arch on the left side establish connection with the left systemic arch arising from the right ventricle, carries deoxygenated blood and mixed blood to the body through dorsal aorta. Sixth arches give rise to pulmonary artery, which joins the pulmonary trunk arising from right ventricle, carrying deoxygenated blood to lungs for purification. Exception in reptile. Generally, ductus caroticus and ductus arteriosus are absent in certain snakes and lizards, uromastyx, and the ductus caroticus is present in some turtles and sphenodon. The ductus arteriosus is present in alligator and some turtles. In some snake, the left third aortic arch disappears, but ductus caroticus persists throughout the life, and blood reaches the left internal carotid artery. Then we have AVs. Uh, Third, fourth, and sixth are present with the complete division of ventricle into two parts. The conus arteriosus and ventral um, aorta has split to form two vessels, systemic aorta arising from the left ventricle and pulmonary aorta from the right ventricle. Third aortic arc with residue of lateral and ventral aorta forms the carotid, which arise from the systemic aorta. Fourth aortic arch form the systemic aorta on the right side only. It limits with the lateral, it unites with the lateral aorta on its own side and forms the dorsal aorta. For part of the fourth aortic arch on the left side form the left subclavian artery. The rest, along with its lateral dorsal aorta, disappear. Sixth aortic arc form pulmonary aorta. Ductus caroticus and ductus arteriosus disappears. In embryo, ductus arteriosus is present on both sides. Left one persists for short time. Right one act as a shunt between pulmonary and systemic aorta, become blocked at the birth when lung begin to function. Then a ligamentum arteriosum finally remain. Uh, a ligamentum arteriosus is a small fibrous remnant of ductus arteriosus, which is a vessel that connect pulmonary trunk and descending aorta in the developing fetus. It runs between aorta and pulmonary artery. Sixth arc give rise to pulmonary artery. Then we have mammals. Third, fourth, sixth function. Conus arteriosus and ventral aorta split into to form two vessels, a systemic aorta arising from left ventricle, a pulmonary aorta from the right ventricle. Third aortic arc with the remnant of lateral and ventral aorta forms the carotid arc. Fourth aortic arc forms the systemic arc on the left side, while on the right side in the proximal portion forms the innominate and right subclavian artery. The rest along with the lateral dorsal aorta disappear. Artery also known as brachiocephalic artery or brachiocephalic trunk. It is the first aortic arc and supply oxygenated blood to the head and upper side of the body. It forms right subclavian artery which supply blood to the right common carotid artery which supply to head and neck. Sixth aortic arc from the pulmonary aorta. The ductus arteriosus degenerate, but it persists in some until hatching a birth in reduced form on the left side as a ligamentous arteriosum. Then subclavian artery present on the left side inwards and on right side in mammal. Third arc represent carotid arteries which arise from the systemic aorta. Sixth arc arise from a single pulmonary trunk. Embryonic ductus caroticus and ductus arteriosus also disappears. Um, then we have conclusion. Uh, it originated from common ancestors, and their embryonic condition of aortic arches support the recapitulation theory of Haeckel, that is ontogeny repeat phylogeny. Then we have a differentiation between all these arches. First is elasmobranch. First, second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth aortic arches. First is disappear in all elasmobranch, teleos, lower amphibian, higher amphibian, reptiles, bird, and mammal. Second, become first branchial artery in elasmobranch and disappear in all the higher um, ones. Third becomes second branchial artery in elasmobranch, and in teleos it becomes first branchial artery. And in lower amphibian it become carotid artery, lower amphibian, higher amphibian, reptile, birds, and mammal. Third become carotid artery. Fourth become third branchial artery in elasmobranch. Second में teleos में second branchial artery. Then lower amphibian में left and right systemic arc up to mammals. Fifth में fourth branchial artery in elasmobranch, and in teleos third branchial artery. Lower amphibian में branchial artery, and in higher amphibian reptile words it become disappear. Then in sixth aortic arch in elasmobranch, fifth branchial artery in elasmobranch, teleos fourth branchial artery, lower amphibian right and left pulmonary arteries up to mammals.